It is a beautiful day at Disneyland in Southern California. You're having a great time with your family, riding all the rides and soaking up the sun. You get back to your home and notice that your 9-month-old baby has developed a fever and a red, scratchy rash that has lasted for 2 days. You take them to the doctor and discover that your child, who is too young for the vaccination, has developed the measles at the happiest place on earth. This was the case in December 2014 when the theme park was the center of a measles outbreak that sickened 147 people in the United States. Many of the people who contacted the virus were not immunized, naming personal reasons for refusing the shots. This situation is upsetting to me in particular because I was at Disneyland the day of the outbreak, and my daughter, who was 10 months old, was too young to receive that shot for protection. Now, nothing happened to our family. We were very fortunate, but more than 1/3 of American children have not developed complete protection against measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, and polio. This puts us all in danger and possible contamination. If you send your child to school, they're in close proximity to many different children and dangerous bacteria. Vaccines are needed because they keep everyone secure and protected. Because children are still developing a strong immune system, it is important that they receive the proper protection so that they can grow and develop without being subjected to harmful viruses. Children in schools and people who often work in close proximity seem to develop sicknesses like the flu or colds from each other. Why should deadly diseases be any different? There are various reasons why people decide not to be vaccinated, such as cost or skepticism of the effectiveness. However, the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases states that in the United States, vaccine-preventable infections kill more individuals annually than HIV, AIDS, breast cancer, or traffic accidents. In fact, approximately 50,000 adults die each year from vaccine-preventable diseases in the United States. Vaccines are effective and safe, which is why we have been protected for so long, in so many decades. The effects of not being vaccinated far outweigh the possible adverse effects of receiving a vaccination. Now take a minute and picture this. Your child's friend came home from a vacation in Africa and unknowingly developed a disease while there. If you have him or over to play and also have a baby that is too young for the vaccination, would you be troubled? That could be a very toxic play date. This recently happened in a Minnesota community. A child developed the measles after a trip to Kenya. From this one child alone, Minnesota is now fighting 20 cases of the measles. This is why it is imperative for us to have mandatory vaccination in America instead of just half of them or some of them. If you aren't sure if vaccinations are necessary or not, ask the Johnson family. Their experience was featured by the Texas Children's Hospital called The Forgotten Story. When their son Vaughn developed a rash after going to vacation in Mexico, they never thought it was measles. They simply didn't think measles was around anymore. They were wrong. Vaughn developed a high fever and ear infection and sores in his mouth. A few days later, the doctors confirmed that Vaughn had developed the measles. His mother says, "Sadly, Vaughn was not protected. We delayed the vaccine because he had chronic ear infections. It will be a decision I always regret." Many parents fail to realize that measles still exists in other countries, but even the United States continues to experience outbreaks. These diseases are still present and can spread fast if they are not protected properly. This world has made massive leaps in the medical field, and new safety measures and prevention measures are being discovered every day. We must appreciate and use these vaccines that have developed for us to build a strong and healthy America. We are very fortunate to live in a country that has access to these medications. As we sit here and discuss this, we need to consider the rest of the world. In Africa, for example, vaccines are not readily accessible due to their costs, lack of medical professionals that can administer, and availability to the drug. Literally, thousands of people are in these developing countries die from vaccine-preventable diseases because they did not have access to the resources. How can we sit here and not use them when we have been fortunate enough to live in a country where they are readily available? If you happen to have a child who cannot receive vaccinations due to an illness or an allergy, you would want to make sure everyone else is safe whom they come into contact with, or one person is not the only one affected by vaccinating. You getting a vaccine can protect hundreds of people. The protection and health needs to start with you. The action is not difficult and only requires a few minutes of your time. You go to the doctor's office and make sure that yourself and your loved ones are up to date on their vaccinations. Some vaccinations will only need to be administered once in your lifetime, but it is important to make sure that you are fully protected against all viruses. If you are worried about the cost of vaccines, insurance companies usually pay for them. If your insurance does not cover the cost, there is also a national program called Vaccines for Children that helps qualified families get free vaccinations for their children. By having yourself and your children vaccinated, you are showing them that they are important, that you care about health and protection, and you want to see them nutritious and safe. It is not hard to protect yourself. It only takes loyalty to your well-being. Our country spends millions of dollars in order to stay young, eat organically, and exercise daily. Getting your vaccinations should be at the top of this list. Invest in your health, invest in your future, and invest in your family. Protect yourself from injury. Get vaccinated today.